To mitigate the scorn he gives his uncle, he prettily and aptly taunts himself.
You were told that the Bureau would make best efforts with the court to mitigate Ricky's sentence.
I've spoke thus much to mitigate the justice of your plea, which if you follow.
We can't mitigate the damage from his lie.
Welcome to this Talk Word Explainer. Today, we're focusing on mastering a word that's, well, it's incredibly useful, super common, and honestly, just a really powerful English word to know. You know, whether you're reading the news, sitting in a big business meeting, or just kind of navigating daily life, having a precise vocabulary, it literally makes all the difference in the world. So today, we're going to unpack a word that you absolutely need in your toolkit. Let's get right into it. Okay, let's dive into this. Have you ever found yourself in a really tricky spot? Maybe you made a little mistake at work, or, I don't know, the weather suddenly ruined your weekend outdoor plans. When things go south, our human instinct is just to fix it, right? We want to make it better. But how do we accurately talk about making a bad situation better in English? Because let's be real, we don't always completely solve a problem. Sometimes we just kind of soften the blow. And that, my friends, brings us to our star word for today. The word is mitigate. Mitigate. Let's break that down real quick. Mitigate. It's a verb, and it basically means to make something less severe, harmful, or painful. Think of it like turning down the volume knob on a really loud, annoying noise. You aren't turning the speaker completely off, right? But you're definitely making the noise way more tolerable. So when you mitigate a problem, you're actively reducing its negative impact. You're taking the edge off. Now, what's really interesting about this is how we can truly understand a word by looking at exactly what it isn't. So we've got mitigate, to lessen or soften a problem. And on the flip side, we have its direct opposite, which is aggravate, to make a problem so much worse. For instance, say you have a terrible headache. Drinking a ton of water might mitigate the pain, but staring at a super bright computer screen, that will definitely aggravate it. Scaffolding your vocabulary like this, learning opposites side by side, it's literally one of the absolute best ways to make new words stick in your memory permanently. Let's move along and see how this builds, because words are kind of like ancient artifacts, right? And mitigate has this really beautiful backstory rooted in Latin. It all starts with the Latin root metus, which simply means mild or soft. Then we combine that with agere, meaning to do or to make. Put the two together and bam, it gives us our modern English word, mitigate. So literally, the absolute DNA of this word translates to make mild. Understanding this root is a total game changer. It acts like a mental shortcut for you. From now on, whenever you hear mitigate, just think, make mild. And this brilliantly illustrates the most crucial point, which is knowing how to actually use this in your everyday sentences. You're going to encounter this word out in the wild through a few very common collocations. Those are just words that frequently travel together. Like in business, you'll constantly hear professionals talk about mitigating risk, which basically means taking steps to make sure a project doesn't completely fail. Or in medicine, doctors focus really heavily on mitigating pain for their patients. And, if you just turn on the global news right now, leaders are constantly discussing strategies for mitigating climate change, trying to lessen the really severe impacts of global warming. These aren't just dry vocabulary examples, folks. They're real-world concepts you interact with every single day. Learning a language is really all about building momentum. In understanding the true depth of just one single word, like mitigate, it can instantly elevate how you express yourself. If you love discovering the cool stories and the practical uses behind English vocabulary, I highly, highly encourage you to keep exploring. You can actually download the Talkword Companion app right now. It is absolutely packed with these fantastic, really immersive podcast-style explanations for almost any English word you can possibly think of. It's literally like having this exact explainer format right in your pocket, ready to go whenever a new word catches your curiosity. As always, we love to leave you with something you can apply immediately. So let me ask you this. What negative situation will you mitigate in your life today? Maybe you need to mitigate the stress of a massive upcoming exam by finally creating that study schedule. Or actually, maybe it's just mitigating a minor disagreement with a friend by simply apologizing. Because remember, language is meant to be lived, not just memorized. So get out there, definitely use the word mitigate in a sentence today, and take a small step to make things just a little bit milder. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and hey, happy learning!